Hello, hello. Welcome to the craft room. I am so glad you're here. My name is Kim. I am the owner of Lilac Lane DIY Studio in Yorktown, Virginia, and also you can find me online at Lilac Lane DIY. I'm so glad you're here. I am taking some scrap pieces of stuff, some fabric, some wood, and a little bit of Distress Oxide, and I'm going to turn it into a beautiful fall piece that you are going to enjoy for years and years. And so what I started with was this beautiful Printable by Miss Summer Hammonds. If you have not, if you are not part of her group, you should be. She is amazing. Don't mind this little piece right here. My printer needs some ink, but I'm going to show you a couple different techniques to turn this into a really cool piece of art for your home. And so we're going to start by working on this piece of paper. I did stain or faux stain with a baby wipe and burnt umber this piece of wood, and then I dry brushed some white on it because it looked a little too plain for me. And if you know me, you know that I dry brush everything. So we're going to start by working on this piece of paper. And I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do here. Let me grab something. I forgot my cup of water, and so we need some water for this process. And I just grabbed an old brush that I had, and we are going to take the brush and dip it in water, and then I want you to run it right along here, okay? Then you're gonna rip it, but you're gonna rip it right where you did the water, okay? And so it's just gonna come apart like this. It's gonna leave you a really cool edge to work with. I'll do another one for you so you can see. It's really super easy. Run it along that line and then just pull it apart. And it will just come right apart and leave you a little frayed edge. Sometimes it gets a little more than you want. Just be careful. But you're gonna end up with something that looks like this. And so from here, we're gonna doctor it up just a little bit more. So this one is dry now, and I'm gonna set it down here, and I'm gonna take my Distress Oxide and my little pouncer here, use these for all of my stamping, and I'm gonna rub it into, and this color is Vintage Photo, and then I'm just gonna go around all my edges, right? So I'm just trying to make them look old and distressed. This is gonna cover up your little watermarks, if you get any. I do sometimes and sometimes I don't. Just depends on how heavy-handed I am with my brush. But what I'm trying to do is make this piece of paper look aged, like a vintage photo. And that is exactly what this ink does. This Ranger ink is amazing. I use it in my scrapbooking and card making, and I also use it on some of my wood projects to get a nice edge on them so they look distressed. And that's what I'm gonna just go all the way around with this. And if you find you want some more, you can do some more. This is gonna be so pretty. And what an easy project. I mean, you just need a printer and some scrap stuff. And that to me is the best craft ever. If you are in my private group, I printed some of these out for everybody. For those of you who are not local, they're in the mail to you. For those of you who are local, you can pick them up in the studio so that you could try your hand at this. If you love printables, I think you've got to join some sort of printable group, but I have to be honest with you and tell you that I think the very best creative group is Hammond's Creative Nest. Summer is amazing. I learned so many cool things in there, even for me, and it's just so much fun. All right, so we've gone around all these edges. Now the fun begins. Well, that was the fun for me. I love using inks in my projects. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring our board back in, right? And look how cool that is now. It looks like an old piece of photo, or an old photo or an old piece of paper. And I'm actually gonna position mine down here because I've got this nice rag bow that I made in one of our previous videos that I want to glue right here. right? And then I may come back in with some fall foliage and stuff up at the top just to really give it that extra pizzazz. But for right now, I'm just gonna stick to the bow. Maybe over here, I'm not sure yet, but first we have to glue it on. And so we're gonna Mod Podge this on. And I didn't bring a plate. Oh yes, I did, I have a plate. I have a plate, but it's full of sea glass, hold on. Because, you know, I was doing that project too. Let's get all this sea glass off of here and we'll use this plate. Oh, goodness. To put our Mod Podge on. Okay, and so I'm gonna put some Mod Podge back here, but I'll tell you the trick because I don't want to mark it or anything. I'm literally just gonna flip him over like this. And this way I know exactly where to put my Mod Podge. I know it needs to be in this square up to that mark. And so I'm just gonna put a nice generous coat of this on. Now there's lots of different ways to do Mod Podge. You can let it dry and then you can iron it. You can do it this way. You can do it all different ways. So whatever your preferred method for using Mod Podge is, you can do that. I do like to use the wax paper and iron it sometimes. But for this, we're just gonna glue her down. All right, I probably need some more, but we're gonna go over the top as well. So let's lay this down. Beautiful, look at that. This is gonna be so adorable, y'all. So adorable. So now I'm just gonna take a coat and go over this. Probably should have let it dry a little bit, but that's okay. We are impatient around here. So it's gonna yellow a little bit because I didn't let it dry. So I think I might leave it be and just show you how I'm gonna decorate it. Let that dry, because that vintage photo does not like to be wet until it has had time to dry. So what I did was I heated up my glue gun, and I am gonna take this puppy, and I'm trying to decide if I think I want it over like that, so it doesn't cover up the scarecrow. So then I'm just gonna put a dab of glue on my bow, and I'm just gonna stick it down. And then you can trim these and adjust these however you want. And then I'm gonna let this dry, and that vintage photo is going to, although I like it, this color a lot because it looks like pumpkin, is going to start to turn dark brown again. And we're gonna put some fancy little greenery, not greenery, but fall foliage in here, I think, just so you get an entire vignette almost that you can just lean on a counter. You can put it on a bookcase. You can do all kinds of things with it. I absolutely love this and love the idea of being able to use my scraps to create something totally unique to me. So I hope you'll enjoy it. I hope you'll try it. Have a great day, guys. Bye.